Charles Amos, who, Charles, good evening. When you came in and defended cutting the winter fuel allowance, which got you very unpopular press. Did you not learn by that?
I don't think the fact that something is unpopular means it's wrong.
Well, that's very good. What, bus passes?
He wants to take the elderly's bus passes off them.
Yeah.
That's the case.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't think you'll ever get to a position
and
of
the
authority.
Workhouse. You want the Workhouse back.
He'd like the Workhouse
So there
back.
is one good point you made.
You're quite happy with marrying your cousin, your first cousin. You think that's up to the individual. Why?
Individuals should be free to pursue their own good in their own way, and that includes to marry and have children with whoever they like.
No,
If we're going to hear me out,
that is the beginning of the end. Go on, you can try and defend it, but that is not
if we're going
happening.
to accept that individuals over 40 can have children, despite the fact that they
Do you think they shouldn't?
Despite the fact that they have the children with the same risk of having birth rates as those that are cousin marriages, then we've got to allow cousin marriages too. Because if you were going to ban cousin marriages on the basis that these birth rates are too high, then you'd have to ban over 40s from reproducing too.
Well,
I don't think we should ban over 40s from reproducing.
Maybe
so by parity of reasoning, I don't think cousin marriage should be banned.
I was a young father, a teenager, and when I look back, I think, I had all the energy to bring up kids, probably didn't do it as well as I could do it now. But the fact is, it's something that you want young, fit people doing.
Although older parents have more balanced children, I think, because they've lived more life, so there's benefit with swings and roundabouts.
I don't agree.
I'm willing to accept that perhaps it's the case that children are better brought up by younger parents, but I still don't think that means that we should ban older parents from reproducing, or older people from reproducing.
What about... I mean, you don't want to see anything banned, really, do you? But what about the birth defects that are quite
with cousin marriages, it's much more common even in older couples. That's quite prevalent.
So the percentage of birth defects to cousin marriages are 6% amongst Pakistani mothers, according to a Bradford study of 11,500
The study hasn't been carried out. It was 11,500 children, and as far as I'm concerned, that's not a big enough.
Well, that's 6 in 100, That's 6 in 100 have defect birth.
Absolutely, but if you look at the over 40 rate, or rather the over 34 rate, it's 4%. So it's reasonable to think that the over 40 rate would perhaps be 6% and above. So if we're going to allow over 40s to reproduce, and I think everybody accepts that, then we've got to allow cousins to reproduce as well.
Well, we haven't at all, and in my world, it won't happen.
If we're going to
operate
with a coherent set of ethics, then we've got to allow both or neither. You can't have one or the other.
You can. You're not going to do it.
It's probably more than 6%.
And actually, there is a problem at the moment that younger people are not having enough children because society's in a bad state, and we need to encourage younger people to actually be able to have children. Otherwise, we're going to be, well, there'll be none of us left.
But no, we don't really need kids. We've got robots now that they're good enough.
Well, one of the ways to deal with the declining fertility rate, and it's supposed to be something like 1.4 by 2100, is to build more houses, to lower housing prices from 8 times average income today back to the historical average of 4 times average income. I'd fully support liberalising the housing market to deal with that problem that you speak of.
That's because of the banks, isn't it? And
but
the rich getting richer.
You won't do that because back in the day, governments encouraged people, rather than spending their money to buy the most expensive house they could, as part of supporting them in old age. And if the house prices take a crash, there'll be a lot of people who want a lot more than the winter allowance. So you can't work it out. I mean, you seem to think everything is really simple.
No.
You're only 24, Charles.
I'm 25.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Charles.
I'm willing to accept that if you tanked the housing market by building a load more houses, then people that rely on the house's income would be worse off. And I would say that's unfortunate for them, but so be it, basically.
Now it's really cold. Now that the cold is kicking in, I want to give you the chance to go back a little bit on what you were saying about old people not really needing the winter fuel allowance. I mean, we can see that they do. A lot of them don't know how they can apply, a lot of the older generation, how they apply for things that they might be entitled to, and a lot of them are entitled to a lot more than they're getting. So do you not think you should go back and say perhaps the winter fuel allowance, particularly with the way the weather is going at the moment, should be reintroduced?
Not at all. If you look at the bottom quintile of pensioners, you'll find they spend 17% of their income on restaurants and hotels, recreation and culture,
I should bloody well hope so when you work
it's like it's talking about you, isn't it?
£2,100. All they would have to do to make up the reduction in the winter fuel allowance, or its elimination rather, is to cut their leisure expenditure by 10%. And I've said that about 4 times on this show.
You know, you'll get thrown out by your ear in a moment because I'm getting really bloody cross. Look, I'm 75 nearly. I'm old. I've worked most of my life. In fact, I've worked it all. Some of the time I've had to put up with him. And I don't need prats like you coming in here at the age you are and saying, oh, well, you know, because when you get to the end of your life, you would like to enjoy it. You don't want to be sitting there worrying where the next...
Yeah, people on 11 grand, they don't get it. I mean, he might be all right, but there's some pensioners on 11 grand who've been told they can't have it.
Those pensioners that are on 11 grand typically then receive housing benefit, which majorly tops up their gross income.
They don't have much to spend. They don't have much of a life, trust me. I've met many.
17% of their spending is on leisure. If you look at the average pensioner...
Why on earth shouldn't they?
Let me explain once again. If you look at the average pensioner, you'll find they have taken £1.20 out of the welfare state for every £1 that they have paid in. So the average pensioner cannot say, I'm entitled to this income because I've paid in all of my life. It's like, no, you're entitled to 5/6 of it, and that's it.
You are
5/6 of it, and that's it.
What are you doing this for? You're doing it basically to try and make yourself famous, and I rue the day that I actually...
No, I will not have that.
I invited you back.
4,500 people will die, it was calculated by the Labour Party.
Beliefs, because I have studied philosophy and political theory,
and
I believe
Labour's own figures
are the right
When Labour were in opposition, they told the Tories, if you get rid of that benefit, 4,500 will die. And that now they're in power, they've stopped it. So that's 40 a day. That's 40 tonight will die because of the Labour government, and you're happy that that's going to go.
Are you giving them any money?
Well, I would do if the government did. Yes, I would. I want them to get the winter fuel allowance, which is me giving them money.
You don't really care that much about those 4,000 people.
Take the break.
Dare you?
Go,
Here's
the door.
Coming
back. Take a break.
Open the door.
You know, you talk absolute security. You really do.